good working relationship with them. And if you find something unique, they do have the right, on public property, not private, but if you find it on public property, and Peace River is, they can ask you for it, and you should surrender it, which we do gladly. But they give you back an exact replica, same color and everything, you couldn't tell except by the feel it wasn't the bone you gave them, and a certificate and all that. So, you feel proud you've got this, and yet you've got part of the scientific heritage for the state. So that's kind of neat. Interestingly enough, if you found a whole mammoth, the state would say, "Oh, keep it." They got basements full of them that they take up a lot of space. You can't even give them to the Smithsonian. So you find a little bone. And we gave them a seal tooth one time. Those are they got the big stuff already. And so these are kind of awesome. I'll give you a little parenthesis. I guess it wouldn't be me if I didn't, would it? They call some of this stuff in Florida the La Brea Formation. Give it the same name as the La Brea tar pits out in Los Angeles because it's the same kinds of fossils that you find buried there. So I have no objection to that. It's just using a name to identify a group of fossils. The interesting thing was, this is the first summer, by the way, in 31 years that I haven't taught a course at San Diego in the summer. And so ICR has now gone to online master's programs. And some of you know online is a little bit beyond my capability. I'm still, my computer has two functions, print, and delete, the pointed graphite and the rubber eraser. It can do all kinds of things, by the way, computers can't do, but that's another story. But at any rate, they're going to do some lab courses down there. So you can, by the way, some of you that are teachers, you could actually get some continuing education unit credit for courses there. And I've taught paleontology completely, and we could do ecology down there as well. But the last time I taught, summer before last in San Diego, one of the geology students wanted to do her project on the the La Brea tar pits. And so she went, it's only 100 miles from San Diego. So she went up, middle of Los Angeles, just shortly off Wilshire Boulevard. And here at Hancock Park, there's actually, tar bubbling out of the ground. It's kind of neat. And they have the museum there and the preparators you can see through the glass, rubbing all the tar off and putting things together. And so she rode ahead and got permission to interview, the researchers back there and so on. So she did. And so she was talking to him about all these things that you see. There's in the front of it, there's a big lake of tar with models of mammoths, fighting to get out of this. They're kind of leaning out. Big vultures landed on them, and a saber-toothed cat's pounced on them as he's about to rip them to shreds. So this is kind of the picture that everybody has: is that there's this big lake of tar. And that animals fell into this and got trapped and couldn't get out. Predators pounced on them and tore them to shreds, so the predators got trapped in there as well. And she found out, and none of us knew this. It's just amazing what you don't know, and you don't know it, so you don't ask. But they were telling her in this behind-the-scenes tour that this tar, there's some superficial tar on the surface, but there's no fossils much in that. The fossils are deep, and they come up through little pipes no bigger than that. And so all this stuff that's famous for out there are all put together from pieces, none of which are much bigger than my fist. And here the geologists working at La Brea were saying, it looks like now that these animals didn't die in the tar pits, and this thing about the prey getting trapped and the predator pouncing on them and herds of mammoths and things like that getting buried here. Apparently that's pretty much myth. And he says it looks like they died up in the hills. Predators and a regular set of animals died up in the hills, got buried in floodwaters, up in the hills, and got washed downhill and sifted down through these little, pipes down into the tar and got redeposited and preserved in the tar. And to my surprise, one of the people I admire most in the world is Dr. Steve Austin, the geologist at ICR, the original R in ICR. Yeah, I wish he was coming here. He's just done spectacular research that's earned grudging respect, even from the secular evolutionists. But I was having the student tell him about that, and I didn't know, he didn't know it, because it seems to me that there weren't any geological facts he didn't know. And so we're going to follow up on that. It turns out there's a lot of creationist research work to be done there at La Brea. And when you're talking to the field paleontologists, they don't care about creation evolution. They care about fossils and how they got there. And we had that experience one time coming across to San Diego. My wife did. I was swimming in the lake nearby to protect her from whatever. And she found this really interesting bone, and so we took it down to the Natural History Museum in San Diego to see if we could get it identified by the local paleontologist. And so I, get an appointment, go in the office and show him this bone. And he said, "Where'd you find it?" I said, "Texas." Okay. I knew what he meant, but I wasn't about to give in. "Well, do you know what rock layer it was?"